Okay, so this is a video I hoped I wouldn't have to make, but I think it's probably about time to give people an update. So last week, a week ago today, I was deadlifting. Didn't feel great, in all honesty. I'd been flying the day before and it was a hell of a travel back from Norway. So I wasn't feeling great. I was a bit dehydrated, stuff like that. Decided I wanted to go in the gym and deadlift anyway, which in hindsight was probably a mistake. I should have left it an extra day or two, rehydrated myself, stuff like that. But I got it in my head that I felt good mentally to go and attack my deadlifts. Well, to cut a long story short, I managed to tear my lat quite severely. I don't know the extent of the damage. I'll find out today a little bit more on how much damage I've done, but it's definitely a pretty severe tear. My back's been, well, my back and triceps, so up around my armpit, has all been like purple, bruised. It was a pretty severe tear while I was doing it. When I've torn like tendons off in the past, it's been like a pop and then that's it. Whereas this was a real big like tearing sound through my body, and it was, yeah, almost like two tears. It went. So I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I've spoken to a couple of people and it sounds like it's more muscle rather than tendon related, which could be a positive in terms of where I go moving forwards. So ultimately, once I've sort of had the assessment today, I'll know a bit more about where I'm going to go. And I suppose it's been a sort of week of like thoughts of what I'm going to do and where I'm going to go and stuff like that, in terms of like what direction. Well, obviously I don't know the full picture yet, but ultimately at the stage I'm at in my career, sort of everything has been a bonus for a good few years. Probably the last sort of 10 years really has been a bonus. I've been in my twilight years for a long time and I enjoy lifting, so I've been lucky enough to be able to still continue to lift relatively heavy when I felt like it, and also push myself when it comes to the bodybuilding. So I can't really be too disappointed. I think if I was sort of still in those years of like trying to push for good performances at World's Strongest Man and stuff like that, I'd be really disappointed. But for where I'm at, just being able to train and being able to function is the most important thing. Now, yes, I like to have goals and targets to aim towards, but ultimately, if I never deadlifted super heavy again for the rest of my life, it wouldn't be the end of the world. The most important thing for me is being able to be in the gym, training, pushing myself in some way, and ultimately, that's the most important thing, as long as I've got quality of life. So much as I really wanted to sort of deadlift the 400 kilos by the end of the year without a suit, and then deadlift 1,000 pounds next year, that might be off the table. I don't know. The 1,000 pounds might be off the table forever. I'll find out a little bit more today, and obviously then see how the recovery goes. Now, I am going to do everything in my power to avoid surgery, if at all possible. So if it means that I have to sort of change the way I train and adapt and things like that, then that's something that I'll do. It's more important for me to be in the gym training and pushing myself in some way than hitting a big deadlift at some time in the future, and obviously having to have the surgery and being out. Basically, if it's a torn muscle or I can get away with not having the surgery, I can probably come back to being in the gym sooner than if I have the surgery. Surgery can be sort of 8 months, 10 months recovery time, which I don't know how I would mentally cope with 8 to 10 months out of training. So for me, being in the gym and training is more important than lifting big weights at this stage of my life. So yeah, ultimately that's the decision that I'm probably going to take. I mean, obviously, unless I've got really severe issues in terms of arm function, as it is, I can move my arm a lot better than I could a week ago. So I seem to have not full range of motion, but I can move it in most directions. There is pain there, but at the moment that's probably due to the trauma, the tear and everything else. So I spoke to a couple of people, Alex Coletto, former Italy's strongest man, world's strongest man competitor, and Loz as well, and both of those had pretty much exactly the same injury. And Alex continued to compete for 2 years after he did it, and also is back now deadlifting 360 kilos when or more, maybe even. I coach him actually, but he's doing that without a suit. And obviously Alex was a good deadlifter. I don't know how much beyond 380, that sort of number, he could do without a suit when he was younger. I mean, he's 47, 48 years old, and he's back deadlifting those sort of numbers with the same injury as I've got. So that gave me a massive positive. And then obviously Loz did his at Europe's Strongest Man, and then went on to win Europe's Strongest Man after he did it. So it's not a complete write-off if I don't have the surgery. It's just obviously everyone's a little bit different, but I'll be able to be in the gym training unless I've got severe loss of arm function, which I don't seem to have. So we got to take the positives from it. It looks like I'm gonna still be able to move my arm okay with no issues. It looks like I'm still going to be able to exercise at some point in the near future. It just means that maybe those big deadlifts and stuff are off the table. But it's not the end of the world. I'll just find other focuses, other goals. Maybe we'll sort of go down the route of trying to push my grip numbers up, train everything as normal as best I can. But set some goals with like grip stuff, maybe set some goals with my squatting if that's possible, and just sort of go from there. But like I said, for me, the being in the gym and training is the most important thing. The numbers that I'm lifting are not as important as the actual sort of doing it from a sort of keeping my mind in a good place. Anyway, that's pretty much where we're at the moment. Obviously, I'm very frustrated and very annoyed about it. Annoyed at myself for not taking that extra couple of days rest, but at the end of the day, I don't regret anything. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm obviously trying to look at positives and things that I can sort of take from this. I think most things you can have a positive spin on it. Not everything, you know, some things are just the way they are, but most things you can look at it as a positive. And ultimately this just means I've got less effort focusing on myself and my own training and more effort focusing on my coaching. So that's a positive in itself. Yeah, so that's ultimately where I'm at. And yeah, it's just time to push on with the coaching, start the rehab process once I know more today, and then carry on living life as I have been. In the past, I've been in some pretty dark places, and training was the only sort of happiness I had in life. Now I'm in a place where I have a lot of happiness away from training and competing and stuff like that. So I'm in a positive place with the rest of my life. My girlfriend's amazing. Obviously, I get to spend time with my son all the time. I get to live the sort of life that I really wanted to live. So yes, being able to push myself in the gym was very important, but it's not as important as it once was, perhaps. And obviously I'm not getting any younger either. So yeah, anyway, that's pretty much where we're at. Like I said, it just gives me more time to focus on my coaching, getting my app even better than it already is, and stuff like that. So there are, I suppose I'd better do the sales pitch at the end. There are a couple of options. I'm doing a Black Friday sale, which I'm continuing this week, which is £200 off my coaching packages, on my full coaching, which is terryhollandscoaching.com, and my app is reduced to $12.99 a month or $39.99 for 3 months, with a 7-day free trial as well. So you're more than welcome to sign up to the free trial and cancel it before you make the payment if you don't like it and it's not for you. So yeah, that's a couple of things I've got going on at the moment. You can still grab a bargain on Fitness Superstore using FS15. BF15, Black Friday 15. As a discount code, you get 15% off on Fitness Superstore. Beast Farm are still doing 20% off, and you can use my 10% discount code still as well, using code Terry. So I think that's all the Black Friday stuff covered. And yeah, like I said, I can take a positive from it. It's time to just focus on the rehab, focus on recovery. Once I know more today, I know what direction I've got going. But ultimately, I will always find something that will push me to be motivated, and I'll try and find a positive in any rough situation. But pain has subsided a lot, which is good. And obviously last week was a lot of like phone calls, research, trying to figure out what options I've got. And as it looks like at the moment, I'll be back lifting at some point. Just whether it's to the extreme that I was or not is another matter, but ultimately I'll still be in the gym kicking my own arse on a regular basis very soon. But yeah, it was just a little update. I suppose just I'm very disappointed I'm not going to hit that 400 by the end of the year, and I'm very disappointed that potentially that 455 or £1,000 deadlift won't happen next year. But that's not completely off the table yet. We'll see. I'll know more today, and I'll probably check in and do an update later in the week. But obviously, as I have got a bit of spare time, if anyone's got any suggestions for videos they'd like me to make, pop them in the comments. More than happy to do it. I have got a couple obviously that I want to do with regards to like periodizing your compound movements, things like that, how I do it. My girlfriend's been following the same, and her numbers are rocketing as well. My strength was obviously increasing very quickly with regards to starting back deadlifting and stuff like that. So I mean, it kind of, aside from my injury, it proves the process works. So anyone that wants me to make any other videos, got any ideas, I'm more than happy to do that. But maybe we'll throw some fun ones in there at some point as well, some eating challenges and things like that. But I had a lot of well wishes on Instagram, so thanks for everyone that sort of reached out. I really appreciate it. And as always, my head is up. You know, shit happens, but we move forwards.